What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Zak and Miri Make a Podcast. Apologize for our absence last week. Obviously, you guys, if you saw on Instagram, we were both kind of busy traveling for Schaumburg, and obviously Miri is in the middle of trying to make a move. So just a lot. So anyways, like I said, we're back this week, and we're super glad to welcome Jake of JK Reptiles. So let's get this thing rolling. Jake, obviously we met at Schaumburg last weekend for the first time.
Yep.
That's kind of a home-based show for you, right?
Yeah, that's it's about 40 minutes from where I live. You know, Tinley's a little bit closer, but I think Tinley's like 20 minutes. But yeah, it's a nice closed show. Pretty cool for the first time over there in Schaumburg. It was me and Miri were saying I kind of like the Tinley venue a little bit better, but the Schaumburg, the area is definitely a lot more fun for going out and getting drinks and food and all that. But I miss Tinley for sure.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Miri, how's the move going?
Oh gosh, so insane. And I finally found a house today though, so I can actually move my stuff somewhere instead of just packing it and not knowing where I'm going. So that'll be nice.
Yeah, that's exciting.
That's awesome.
Jake, have you ever had to move a big collection? I know it's like a random.
Yeah. So the house I'm in now, we've only been here for like 5 years. I think 2015 we bought this house. So my collection was big. It's not as big as it was now, but I moved. What did I move? I probably moved 25 to 30 big vision cages, racks, babies, and it was in January. So snow, we're talking 10, 15 degrees out. It was a nightmare. It absolutely sucked, I'll tell you. It was – I don't want to do it again.
Yeah.
I told my wife we want to move. We'd like to get a bigger house, some more property, all that, and the one condition I have is we cannot move in the winter. It's got to be spring, fall, summer, but not winter. Absolutely not. So
I don't know how summer's going to work. That's going to be kind of hard because Texas and down here has been pretty hot, like up to 105 or so. It's going to be interesting.
Yeah, it's going to be warm for sure.
Yeah. I don't know.
You're going to have a lot of animals in the cab of your truck would be my best guess with the air conditioning running.
Oh yeah, they're all going to be inside. None of them are going to be out.
Yeah, no, of course. Good deal. So for those that don't know, Jake, obviously I'm aware you've been keeping giant snakes and snakes in general, like since you were 14. I know you said you got your first Retic. Yep. Were you keeping snakes prior to that, or is that what you started out with?
No. So typical kid, young kid catching snakes. So my parents were actually parents are super into animals. My dad he worked for ComEd Asplin, so he removed broken down power lines, cut trees, all that. So he'd always bring home random stuff, baby raccoons that were maybe abandoned by the mom. So I had all sorts of weird stuff as a kid. He'd always bring me garter snakes, green snakes and stuff, and then just me and my friends riding our bikes down to the local river, catching snakes, turtles, frogs. They couldn't keep anything, so my parents just put them in the basement. I had aquarium set up, screen tops with all these snakes, and it was cool. And then my dad did work for a friend of his, and he couldn't the guy couldn't pay him, so he had like a 7-8 foot boa constrictor that I was like 5 years old, and I was freaking out. I was so in love with that thing. So the guy ended up giving it to my dad, like, here you go, I can't pay you, but I'll give you this boa constrictor. And from that point I was just hooked. It was snakes and lizards and monitors and it was awesome. But I got my first Retic at 14. It was a tiger. I actually bought it from a local reptile store here, Chicago Reptile House, which is owned by Brian Potter, who puts on NARBC. And pretty much have had Retics ever since I was 14, and I'm 36, going to be 37 in February. So I've had them over half my life.
That's amazing, man. And that's cool too. That
nice
you started
being
out
around
with
Potter's store for so long.
Oh,
yeah.
So when growing up as a kid, my parents and us, we lived like 25 minutes from the shop. So there was a big mall over there, Orland Park Mall. So, every time my mom's, let's go get clothes or let's go do this, we're gonna go to the mall. Always had to stop at the reptile house, and she had to drag me out of there. I'd always pull open the drawers and, can I pull this out? I'm sure Brian was like so pissed and annoyed with me because it was like every other week thing we'd be there. And I actually worked there for a little bit, and I've known Brian a long time, so it's good stuff.
That's awesome, man.
Yeah, it's
so
fun.
that's not really the typical kind of story. Obviously, a lot of us are like, we were kids just begging our parents to be able to keep stuff, and so obviously it sounds like you've kind of obviously we're pretty lucky early on to be able to kind of keep almost kind of whatever you wanted. It sounds like.
So like my dad had a side business, so I was like a 12, 13-year-old kid, and my dad would do tree removal on the weekends. So every Saturday, Sunday, I'd be up working with him pretty much since I was 12. So I mean, he paid me obviously, and it worked out. My neighbor at the time was really into snakes, so there was some local just shitty reptile show expos by the house, so he'd always take me. I came home with turtles, and I had carpet pythons and ball pythons and berms, and I bought alligators. I mean, I had all sorts of crazy stuff. From when my parents were cool.
Definitely not typical.
Yeah, they let me build. We built like a little a reptile room in our basement and stuff, and I had a big kiddie pool with an alligator and a couple big retics and some green anacondas, and super supportive parents. So I mean, it definitely fueled the fire, more and more.
For
so,
sure.
Yep.
Yeah, well, and you started out, you said, with retics with the tiger. So I again, even that is not super typical for how long ago that was. I mean, 20 plus years ago now. Yeah, you started out with a morph. That's pretty impressive too.
Yeah, that was what was it? That had to be like 98 or so, 97, 98. So I think tigers were like $300-400 at the time. So they were not super expensive, but they were not cheap at the time
for a 14-year-old kid.
Yeah. Yep. I did busted my butt to save some money to get that thing. So.
Absolutely. So give me an idea. So how long has this kind of been a business for you? Obviously, we talked a little bit about it, and we can go into that if you want. This is not necessarily your full-time thing, but it is obviously a business, and you've got a ton of animals behind you and events and things like that. How long has that been going on, and kind of what was that transition like for you? Like, when did that happen?
So I was like I said, so I had retics, 14. I pretty much had a bunch of stuff till I was 17, 18, and then I sold off like primarily most of my collection. I still had a couple snakes. High school kid, just get out of high school, getting into the car scene and all that. I kind of took that snake money, put it into the car stuff. I always had one or two snakes, but I kind of raised all this stuff up big, never really bred anything, and then got out. So once kind of ran my course in the snake world or the car world, I kind of bought up some more stuff. So, I mean, I've been breeding since when was my first clutch? Man, it's been a while. 2013, 2014, somewhere in there was my first clutch. And I mean, pretty much ever since then, I've been producing every year, selling stuff every year. I mean, it's it took me a while to make a profit. I mean, I have a ton of money invested caging. You guys know racks, thermostats, animals. So it took me a few years to finally make a profit. But now every year every year is a little bit more. So
well, and that's why I always ask, as far as when it became a business, because again, obviously, if you've been keeping since you were 14, you've been keeping since the mid 90s, or at least with retics,
right?
Which that's your primary focus, if I'm not correct, right?
Yeah, that's all I have is retics. I mean, I've gotten into ball pythons, got out. I got into some scrub pythons, I got out. I got I always sell them or trade them for more retics. So
yeah, you stick with what you love and stick with what you know.
I just get
bored.
bored.
What did you have?
I had some Maruki, so it was a patternless female and just a normal pattern. I actually traded a guy some retics for it, so the trade ended up working out in my favor. But they were cool, and I definitely want to get more into them again. I I like raising stuff from babies. I hate getting adult animals. Even with my retics, there's maybe, I mean, I have a lot of animals. I probably have 3 or 4 animals that I bought or traded for that was an adult or subadult. Everything else I've raised from little hatchlings. I have females here that I've had since 2000, 10, 11 years, and there's some of them I haven't even bred. They're just sitting here, and I don't care to breed everything.
Right.
Sure.
So.
Well, and especially with the retic stuff, obviously, I'm sure you're pretty specific around what you do choose to breed and the stuff that you just keep just because you like it.
Yep.
And that's great because I mean the big clutches. I mean, what's the biggest clutch that you've had out of one of your females?
I had like a 54, 56 egg clutch from a big, not even that big of a female, an anthrax female. She was about 15 foot. So, I mean, that's a big snake, but I've had bigger, But it was just
15 foot's still a reasonable size, I think.
Yeah. So. But I mean, I have actually pictures on my Facebook page, and I mean, she's coiled up, and there's just eggs on top of her all through her coil. She couldn't even get all the way around them. I came down in the snake room and I looked and I've never seen anything like that in my life. I was like, it was insane. I'll have to find the picture and send it to you guys. It's pretty unreal. So
please do. Yeah, that sounds amazing. Yeah, I haven't had any Retic clutches. Miri, you haven't had any Retic clutches, have you?
Nope.
Yeah,
I was gonna ask what Jake's favorite morphs are, because I am in love with Anthrax. That is one of my favorites, and I love that you work with it. And
Anthrax.
I'm the girl that you had. Yeah.
Anthrax has been my favorite for a long, long time. I really like it. I mean, I'm pretty heavily invested in that. I've gotten in pretty early with the Anthrax stuff. I like the Phantom stuff. I bought the first Phantom, one of the first Phantom males that Nerd produced. I couldn't even tell you what year that was. It was a few years ago, but bought the first male Platinum Phantom from them. I'm in love with the Ocelot stuff. Obviously, I think everybody is.
Yeah.
I just bought into the Blue Hypo project from Bob Clark. I bought that when I was in Arlington. It was like Blue Hypo, Ocelot, because they're both super rare, and I know a lot of people are doing the Ocelot stuff, so I like to be different, so I kind of went Blue Hypo. But yeah, I mean, cows are insane. I mean, there's really not a Retic I don't like, except titanium. I'm not a titanium guy. I don't really care for titanium stuff, which is pretty well known. A lot of people know that I kind of turn my nose to titanium stuff, but
do you feel like it's just overpowering?
It's just like a patternless. It's just like it's a patternless. No matter what you put to it, it's patternless. It's
and that's
albino. I mean, there are some, like I've been out to Jay's, at Prehistoric 2 or 3 times, and he's got some very cool titanium stuff, platinum titanium, which is highlighter yellow, which are beautiful. I really like those. But like once you start mixing albinos and stuff, it's just a banana yellow snake. I don't know, kind of doesn't really do much for me,
Yeah, not for the effort that goes into it to produce something.
Right.
I get
it's a powerful, and I like with the hets. Hets are called Citron. Citron has an influence in. I do like the het stuff. I actually have some Citron stuff here that I did with a buddy, breeding loan with a buddy, and he sent me some Citron stuff. And they're beautiful. They're absolutely gorgeous animals. But yeah, as far as the actual visual titanium, just not a fan.
Yeah. So it's almost kind of like a bell, like the way that people worry about getting too much of that bell complex in the ball pythons. It's like, hey, I love what the Citron stuff does, but I don't want the super. I don't want anything to do with that part. No, that makes sense, man. Just about being.
Well, and a lot of people, I talked to a lot of people this weekend, even, and a lot of people, for as many people as that like the cows, there's an equal amount of people that don't like the cows, because you could stack them with 5, 6, 7 genes and it's still a cow.
That does make sense, sure.
So it's kind of the same.
And with it being a allele combination, I guess.
Well, the girl that you had at the show was the golden child, wasn't it?
She's golden child. Well, she's possible super golden child, platinum tiger. I don't think she's super golden child, and I don't think she's tiger. I think she's platinum, and I think she's gold. She's definitely golden child, probably platinum. But yeah, she's my baby. I love that snake so much.
Yeah, they're amazing. And I get what you're saying. And, I never really thought about it, I guess, because I don't do as much looking into like the breeding of the Retic stuff that like how much further can we really go with the cow stuff? I mean, they are, at the end of the day, it's an amazing animal. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. But is it ultimately just going to end up as like, hey, if you want a pet Retic that's really pretty, you just buy a cow.
Right.
Or somebody that's what they make. They just make cows every year, and they make a million of them. And there's nothing wrong with that. I mean, I think as many cows as you make, you'll find homes for it.
Absolutely. I mean, I think cows are now in that sweet spot, where you can get them for $1,000, $2,000, and I mean that's still expensive, but it's a lot of people that are going to spend the time. I mean, $100 Retics should not be sold. It's plain and simple, So $1,000 Retic, a person that's buying that animal is pretty much going to take care of it. Yeah. And there's really nothing better, I think, in this whole reptile world that you can buy for $1,000 or $2,000 that's going to look cooler than a big golden child Retic. I mean, that's why I bring that cow that I have, because that thing stops everybody, non-snake people, snake people, everybody. Right. Can I get a picture? What is that? It's one of the coolest snakes on the planet, in my opinion.
Yeah. Are you doing any work with any of the pied stuff?
Yeah, I actually hatched some insane pieds out this season. So I actually ended up keeping back 2.4 for myself, super high whites. I hatched out some white-headed pieds. They're actually platinum. I just found out they're platinum tigers and platinum pieds. When I hatched them, I had no idea. The dad was a platinum tiger, and I didn't know about it. So the mom was literally no white. I mean, she had zero white on her whatsoever. So when I hatched them, they're like all these high whites and white-headed animals, which in theory, from talking to other guys that have produced pieds, should not have made nearly any high white pieds, let alone over half the clutch. So I sold the male. The guy I sold them to bred them and made a whole bunch of platinum tiger stuff. So that makes now complete sense why, and even when the babies hatch, they look platinum. I sent them to other people I know, and that it looks platinum. How is this not a platinum? It just didn't make any sense.
Yeah.
And, because Dad didn't look platinum either. He didn't really have a lot of yellow, which is typical of platinum stuff. So, but I know the mom's not, so the dad had to be. But yeah, so I love the pied. I actually got a golden child pied head albino male I'm raising up this year. Really trying to make some golden child pied albinos and stuff like that. But yeah,
that'd be gorgeous. Yeah.
Yeah, I really like the GC pied stuff and the Motley GC pied stuff. Just the like panda pied. I don't know if you guys seen the ones that Bob made. Those black and white. Oh man, that's a goal snake of mine to make here in the next few years.
Yeah. So fill me in, because I know that they've kind of worked out the pied stuff, and you talked about it in terms of making them a little bringing down the pattern. That was a concern when the pied stuff first came out. The Retics is like, is it really a pied though? Because there was so much still color and pattern on them, which I still loved. I mean, I still love the high pattern pied Retics. I think they're gorgeous.
When they fire up and they get that blue on them, it's unreal. Like my female, like I said, she's got no white. After a big meal, she's like baby blue and silver. And it's crazy.
A little bit, almost like ocelot coloration. Yeah, just still with that high white on there. What genetics have they worked in now where they've brought that down to where they're bringing that white in? Is it platinum that's doing that?
I mean, I don't think anybody knows for sure. I mean, it does seem to be like platinum seems to bring a lot of stuff in. Like I said, platinum tigers. I know there was a guy over in Poland. His name's Gabor. He did tiger het pied to tiger pied years ago and made some crazy high white pieds, which they believe were super tiger pieds. I don't know of anybody that's really made a lot of super tiger pied stuff in the States, so I don't know how true that is. I mean, it's supposedly Jay at Prehistoric, I guess, was like titanium stuff supposedly makes high white pieds. But I don't think there's a definitive this more for sure makes high whites 100% of the time. I mean, I only have the one breeding, so I don't have personal experience minus the one. But like I said, mine was platinum tiger pied to a pied, and I think there was 31 eggs, and at least 16, 17 of them were high whites. So
yeah, that's amazing. So it could kind of be anything, but that's kind of the general consensus of what I was thinking, because I hadn't heard anybody say like, oh, these are the high white pieds. This is the key to kind of unlocking that project, which I think honestly is good, right? Where it's like there are kind of multiple answers, and so it's like, look, just throw anything at it. They're going to be beautiful. Oh yeah, they're going to move. They're going to be great animals, and so
it's I almost wonder if it's just like luck. Partly too, like is it for sure like platinum's going to make high white pieds all the time? I don't know. It could just be a very luck of the draw type deal, so we're going to see. I mean, I'm going to try my gold, like I said, my golden child pied male this year is, again, he's like no white too, so I want to pair him with my female just to see. I'm curious if doing that breeding, if these babies are all going to be like low white, no white, kind of get a better idea. If I make any medium whites or high whites, then I guess it's we won't know. I mean, who knows? It's just like a random protection.
Right.
So I think as more people breed them and start crossing other morphs in and figuring out what morphs are in these pieds, we'll kind of have a better idea of what makes what. So
for sure. You got any secret projects you want to kind of talk about over there? Obviously, I know the word secret kind of implies that you don't.
I'm pretty
excited about.
I'm a pretty open book. I mean, I'm not really one to really hide too much stuff.
Sure.
I have a tiger. She's double het purple anthrax that I picked up earlier this year. She's a proven breeder female. And I have a buddy that lent me a Sunfire double het Indo caramel anthrax. So I've been slamming her with food.
I love Indo.
So if everything goes according to plan, we will make the first orange glow Sunfire tiger anthrax and all the combos mixed in. So which is going to be insane. I'm a diehard Moschino fan. Moschino Orange Glow, there's a debate which is better. I'm diehard diehard Mochino guy, but
Same.
I think the Orange Glow Anthrax will beat a Mochino Anthrax. I have this gut feeling because I've seen a lot of.
I agree with that too.
The Orange Glows bring out so much orange and purple, whereas the Mochino's very dark and like berry colored, and it's not as bright. So I think having that super bright contrast, the purples and oranges with the darks of the Anthrax, it's going to be just incredible. So hopefully the girl will go. I mean, she's been slamming pigs. She's eating like 10 to 12 pound pigs every like 7 to 10 days. So I'm pumping her with a ton of food. Yeah, so I need her to go. But yeah, that's really the only secret project I got. I mean, my season's just about over. I actually have a clutch due this weekend. I'm cutting a clutch, my last clutch in the incubator. So that's going to be, it was a Platinum Phantom Sunfire Het Purple bred to a Mochino Motley. So we'll make Platinum Phantom Sunfire Motley Mochinos. So it'll be my first Mochino clutch that I've hatched, so I'm pretty excited about that. Nice. So yeah, that's exciting. Yeah. So that's another thing I'm really trying to work at is I'm a big locality guy. Well, I like the locales, but I love the Sula-Weezy stuff.
That was my literal next question for you. So was to talk about the Sula stuff.
That's my favorite. I mean, if I could have any retic, I would keep a Sula. That's just, I love them. They're my favorite. I owned one when I was a kid, a wild caught. They're just my favorite snake, period. So I have 1.2 pure Sulas that I'm raising up. The female, the bigger of the two females, she was breeding last year. She had follicles and all that, but she didn't go. So I'm hoping this season I can get her to go. These would be F2s. It's normally I would not try to do brother to sister, but that's what I have at the moment. So I'm going to try it. Their Terry Wilkins line. Terry Wilkins was in Columbus, Ohio. He produced some, 4 or 5 years ago, and his were like trademark, the most beautiful Sulas, most beautiful Sulas I've ever seen. So every time I see somebody offer one for sale, I try to scoop it up as quick as I can. But yeah, those are really what I'm really shooting for this year. So pure Sulas and Orange Glow Anthrax stuff is the plan. But I'm sure there'll be some other stuff mixed in. So
yeah, as soon as you said locality, like I said, I wanted to ask you about the Sula-Weezy stuff. I mean, are you working any of that locality stuff into morphs as well to kind of try to keep that influence and just really enhance your line of those projects? Like that's what excites me more than anything.
Yeah, so I mean, as far as I know, I'm the only guy. I don't even know if there's anybody overseas doing it, but I did. So I made platinum 50% Sula-Weezy Platinum Tigers like 4 or 5 years ago. And then I took my male Sula and bred it back to the mom, which is a 50% Sula Platy Tiger. So I have 2 females, 75% Sula Platinum Tiger and a 75% Sula Platy girl that I'm raising up right now. And then I also did my pure Sula male to a Motley Sun Tiger. So I have 50% Sula Motley. What do I have? I have 1.1, 50% Sula Motley Sun Tigers, and then I have a female 50% Sula Sun Tiger that I kept back. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, I have quite a bit of the Sula Cross stuff, and I might try to make some more Cross if I really want to see some Sula Blood in the Phantom really bad. I think with all the reds and stuff that the Phantom have, I think that Sula Blood, because Sula has a lot of that coppery red and the dark blacks and stuff. So I think that's going to be cool. And after seeing what Garrett did with the Tom Belongans mixed with the Phantoms, I know he's on me. You need to do it to Sula. So
yeah. I literally I would pull him out, but I just fed him. I have a pure Tom Belongin that belongs to Garrett here on breeding loan that I'm going to put to. I've got a 50% Slayer Tiger, 100% Het Rennet Ghost female.
Oh, right on.
That we're going to pair up to and then work some possets. So I love the Saputri stuff, man. And dude, I'm telling you, like I'll send you some pictures, Jake, later on. You will be blown away how freaking bright that Tom Belongin is. I mean, he's like freaking yellow. Really? I mean, it doesn't even make sense. It's absolutely insane. Like I said, I wish I fed him literally like 30 minutes ago, so I can't put him out. But he's freaking gorgeous, man. I mean, it blows my mind. Miri's seen pictures of him. I mean, he's intense, freaking yellow. So yeah, I think that would be. I would have to agree with Garrett on getting some Tom Belongin blood into that Sula stuff you got for sure.
Yeah, after he made those, he sent me a bunch of pictures, and he was giving me crap. He's like, "See," he's like, "I told you, you need to put the Sula Blood into the Phantom," and I'm like, "Man, those do look way better than I thought they were going to look." And so it's on my radar.
Yeah, it's only just gotten amped up because when I brought him back here, he was a baby, and he's a little over a year old now. And man, I swear, every shed just brighter and brighter and brighter. Yep. And it seems to have gone from copper to almost really just more yellow tone. So it's an intense locality that I'm super excited to take a little further and see a lot more people working with, because I think he's got a handful of those pures out. He's kind of loaned out to some people to get worked into some lines. So
he had the one at Schaumburg, and that was the first Tom Longan I've seen in person, and I was like, they are super impressive. It's a very good looking animal, very good looking.
For sure, man.
So, but
for sure,
yeah.
I want to talk about your baby and your
the
story
freak
on the paradox.
Yeah, that snake. I've been getting a lot of hits on that. People have been messaging me ever since Schaumburg. I think you posted it. I know Desiree posted it on TikTok and stuff, and people have been hitting me up like, "What the hell is that?" Blah blah blah. And yeah, it was. I couldn't believe it, so I cut that clutch. It was Phantom Sun Tiger Anthrax male bred to a Golden Child Phantom Sun female. So super phantoms, which I knew I was going to get. So I cut the eggs and saw super phantom, saw all this stuff, and I cut her egg, and it was like couldn't have been more perfect. Like when I cut her egg, just her head was right there on the top, and I could see all the yellow and the black, and I was just like, I was shocked. I was staring at it, and I'm like, what am I looking at? Like, it looked like a cow. But even then, because cows don't have spots in the eggs, or very few. I've seen a few, but I'm like, what the hell? Like, how did I make a cow? And then I'm like thinking, like, there's no way. Like, I'm like, did I put a different male in that could have sired one egg? I'm like, but I know I didn't. So, I'm like freaking out. I'm like, so it has to be paradox. And I'm running through my head thinking a million things. So a good buddy of mine, Shane, SC Constrictors, I don't know if you guys know him. He does a lot of OGS, purple OGS. So I know he hatched some paradox stuff out years ago. And anytime I have a question, I hit him up and vice versa. So I start video chatting. I'm like, dude, what is this? Is this what I think it is? And we're looking, and he's like, holy crap, dude, that's a paradox. You got to cut that egg more, see what it is. And so I hung up with him, and I cut a little bit more, and I peeled it back, and I could start to see the side, and there's like orange and red. And I just start losing my mind. I am screaming. It's like 12 o'clock in the morning, or 12, 1 o'clock, screaming. I hit a paradox. Oh my God. My wife's like freaking out, thought I got attacked by a snake, and it's just like tears in my eyes, like crying, like oh my God. I'm like, oh my God, I made one. I've always wanted to make one. So it's like, oh my God, I've hatched a lot of Retic eggs, and I've never made one. So it's like, finally I made one, and it's awesome. And then she hatched, and she came out, and just all the red on her and stuff. I couldn't believe it. She's not as crazy as some of the ones Kevin made, but I sent pictures to Kevin, and he was telling me, he's like, I don't think anyone's made super phantom paradox stuff. They made it in the cow stuff a few times, but it's like, I don't think anyone's made super phantom paradox stuff at all. So I mean, I don't know. It's pretty awesome. She's a cool snake.
That's gotta be the greatest feeling ever. I can only imagine.
I wish I would have recorded it. I really wish I would have, but maybe it's better that I didn't, because see me crying on camera.
Well, that's what you were saying at the show, that you would wish that. Yeah.
The what? What'd you say, Zach?
No, I was just saying you got to be present in that moment. It's difficult. Like I actually, Miri and I had the same conversation this week. Like I just hatched my first visual ultramales the other day, and
congrats, by the way. I saw
that. Thank you. And that project is where I hang my hat. And it's like, while yes, I wanted to video it, but at the same time, like, it almost sullies it, because it's like work at that point. Like it makes it makes me think more about like how I'm reacting, and it's just not as real, and it's not as personal, because at the end of the day, like I think Jacob, I think all three of us kind of share this, like we do this stuff because we love these animals. Like I'm not doing all of this stuff because I'm like, oh, I hope that I hatch like all the odds in one animal and I can sell it for all this money. Like that's great. That's a bonus if that happens. But at the end of the day, like I'm excited to see what I get out of these eggs because of the work and the time and the money that's gone into it. And so, no, I think that man, I think you are almost better off to have just really had that for yourself, and you have that story to tell, because for those who don't understand, like that's literally like for a lot of people like a once in a lifetime thing. Like I may literally never hatch a paradox in my lifetime.
Right. It's
the odds are pretty good that I won't. And so for you to have had that moment, regardless of whether it was recorded, who cares?
Right.
Like you have that and you have that animal. That's amazing, brother. I'm stoked for you.
Thank you. Yeah, it was. I still can't believe. Like I come down here, and I'll be feeding stuff, and I always just kind of pull her rack open or pull her tub open. I'm like, man, just standing there. I'm like, I cannot believe that you're here sitting in my rack right now. Yeah, she's a cool snake. And she came out, shed, ate right away, no problems, which always makes it even better. And so I find myself feeding her a little bit more than everybody else. She gets an extra rat here, an extra rat there, and yeah, she's a cool snake. So
yeah. And are you planning on kind of keeping that one? I know you had it at the show. I know you had a price on there.
So yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's one of those things. It's like I wish I could keep everything. Like you said,
of course.
Like I'm not in it for the money. The money's great. I mean, anybody that's breeding snakes and is making money, I mean, that's you're breeding it for the animals. But if you can make some money to at least put back in your hobby or take your family,
cover the rat bill, cover some cages, take a vacation, sure.
So it's. Like I was all. I'm never gonna sell her. Blah blah blah. She's gonna stay here forever. But then as I sat down here, and thinking about it, I'm like, I don't know. Genetically, she's super powerful, but do I really 100% need to keep her? And I'm like, I don't really need to. At the end of the day, she's literally just a trophy animal, which is great and awesome and fantastic. But if I sell her. That's the thing. It's like that's why I priced her the way I priced her because I'm like I don't need to sell her. I'll keep her. That's fine. If somebody really wants her bad enough, they're gonna have to pay for it. So that's the way I look at it. Like I'll put some crazy high bill on her. $20,000 is what I put her up for. If I need a snake building, like I said, I would love to buy a new house that goes towards a new house, which gives me more property, which can get me a bigger building and more snakes and. So it's one of those things, exactly. I don't mind keeping her. I love to keep her, but if somebody really wants her, that's what it's going to cost, so.
I think that makes all sense in the world, man. I think everything at the end of the day, again, like you've had that experience, you've lived it, you've loved it, you love her, you love the animal. But at the end of the day, I think that is the perfect, trophy animal. Like, you put that super well. Like a trophy pet for someone that just wants something that literally it's like no one else can buy that.
Right.
No one else can have that animal. It's like what you see with these people is this is going to upset me, but these Chimera, ball pythons and things like that, which is a terrible, by the way, term for those, but you know what I'm saying? Yeah, those, and just any paradox animal where literally you can't recreate this. So if it's this beautiful, which yours is, I mean, it's an amazing specimen. It's an amazing example of a paradox. I think that there's a person out there that should pay the money that you're asking for it because it is worth that value. And on top of that, it's not like it's just some genetic nothing. Like she's genetically powerful.
That's what we do with any genetics and any morph. Right. So if you're putting a price to a color either way.
Right. Absolutely.
So if this animal is coming out as random. Yeah. So somebody's going to pay something for if they really want.
It's a lotto. It's a lotto animal. So
well, like you said, it's not nothing. Out there. Yeah. Well, yeah, like you said, it's super GC. So, Tiger, all this stuff. I mean, there's 5-6 gene Retic, which is still a powerhouse animal on its own.
Plus,
plus paradigm. Right. So, like I said, if somebody really, I don't mind. I'll keep her. I'll grow her. She'll get big, get her as big as my cow, and take her to all the shows. And, I have literally no problem doing that. I don't mind at all either. But, we'll see what happens. Somebody may hit me up randomly, and I know there's people out there that will spend the money. So it's, like I said, somebody that wants I always think of guys like Brian at Reptarium, big display with this crazy one-off, will never be reproduced, which would be cool. Like I would love to see an animal like that in a freaking a place like that would be cool. Yeah, and nobody will ever take that away from me. I produced it. It's from here, hatched in my basement in Illinois. It's just cool. It's super awesome. So. I just love that, but
have you hit him up about it? And again, we don't have to talk about it in detail.
No, I haven't. I actually want to take a trip up there. So never been. It's not too far.
No.
So me and my buddy may take our kids and go do a road trip, guys trip up there, take the kids, and I would love to. I've only met Brian once at one of the shows, and We talked quickly. I know he's not a retic. At the time, he didn't have. I think he had a couple retics. So we talked retic stuff, and kind of that was it. So, but I would love to get up there and talk to him and see his stuff, anyways. So, never know.
For sure.
Never know what would happen. But,
I think that'd be great, man. I think it'd be worth, just at least throwing it out there. So, that's good.
Sure. For sure.
So moving on along, what do you have? Again, just we kind of covered a little bit about what your kind of like passion project, your secret project were. I mean, what are you hanging your hat on right now? What's the stuff that is kind of like, hey, this is the large portion of my collection. This is the direction that I'm pushing, and what?
I mean, Anthrax, like I said, Anthrax is a lot of what I have. Anthrax, Phantom. I'm really into the blonde. So blonde is like, I kind of known for blonde stuff. There's a very small group of us that are messing with the blonde stuff. Kind of got forgotten about. I think we were talking at the show, like, I don't know if it was us or not, but blonde stuff got forgotten about, Blonde was like the coolest thing for the longest time because they got crazy dark and they went through this, color change. They hatch out as amels and then they get super dark, like berry colored and just crazy T-positive dark. But then Mochino came onto the scene, Orange Glow stuff came onto the scene, and nobody wants to put in the time to raise a baby to a giant. I mean, you guys seen my blonde tiger. She's 7-8 years old. Nobody wants to put in 7 years to see how dark this snake is going to get. So I don't know. I love the blonde stuff. It's got such a unique look comparing Mochino and Orange Glow stuff. I don't know. I like watching them change. I hatch out clutches, and so the thing with the blondes is it's like temperature. Right. The cooler you keep them, the darker they get, which kind of was found out on accident. There was a shipment that Jay or Garrett, when he was Prehistoric Pets, sent to a buddy of mine that lives in Wisconsin, and the box got left out on the porch for like hours. This was in the middle of winter in Wisconsin. Babies were fine, but when Garrett sent the snakes, they were like amel colored. Then when my buddy got the box and opened them up, these babies were like purples. So they got that dark in like overnight. So everyone thought he was full of shit. There's no way. They screwed up. Right. They sent purples. So when I got my blonde tiger from Garrett, they were still super expensive, $5,000 or $6,000. So he told me, he's like, get that snake and put her in the bottom of the rack. So I put her at the bottom of my 32-quart rack, close to the concrete floor. She never saw probably hotter than 84 degrees, 85 degrees. That snake went from an amel to a purple in less than a year, probably like 6 months, honestly. So as I raised a few and I hatched them out, I kind of have, I place them, where's my rack? Right here. I put some at the top of the racks, middle, bottom, and the snakes on bottom get darker twice as fast than the snakes on top do. So I've done it now. I've hatched probably four or five blonde clutches, and I've tried it with every clutch, and every single clutch, it works out the exact same way.
That's crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts.
So interesting.
So
I love stuff like that.
Yeah, and then obviously morphs. So like I hatched out the first blonde platinum Sun Phantom. I hatched blonde Phantom Tigers. I just hatched the world's first blonde Anthrax Tiger earlier this year. So that's like the coolest. That was a huge project of mine that I wanted to. Two of my favorite morphs combined. I haven't seen that yet. Yeah, he's really awesome. It took me 2 years. I had like 70 eggs. I missed out on the first year. Second year I made one. So even the double recessive odds, man, in retics are hard to hit, So even with 70 eggs. So but that I don't know. I really like that blonde stuff a lot. It's awesome.
Yeah, somebody commented down or said down in the comments, they were like, blonde, he's known for his blonde stuff. His blonde stuff's amazing. So obviously, that's great, man. I love it.
I think it's just, I love it. Like I don't know, all my stuff that I do, I like to be a little different. Like I said, everyone's in love with the ocelot, and I love it too. Don't get me wrong. I would kill to have one, but I'm gonna go the opposite route. Not everyone's doing hypo. Everyone's so focused over here. I want to be over here. Everyone's doing Mochino and Orange Glow. I want to be on blonde because nobody else is doing blonde. I don't like to do the same stuff everyone else is doing. I've never, in anything I do, I don't like, I want to be different. So
yeah, I think you're talking to the right person. Miri is, as I say, I know Miri is nodding her head really hard down there.
Well, that's why I'm not into the, I mean, me and Miri talked about the Monarch stuff. I love it. I think that's the coolest. I love it. It's got the look that I like, and I like that it's not as, I guess, widespread or popular. I don't know if that's the right word necessarily, but it doesn't have the following some of the other albino stuff does. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Go
It's
ahead.
still new.
It's a lot of the same as like the Orange Glow and the Moschino and versus like Ultramelon Monarch. It's the same thing. And I always go darker, and so it's just funny that you see like me going for the Moschino, and then people who like Ultramel usually go for the opposite, which is I just think it's really interesting that people actually see the similarities even in that. But then you get the ball python world where they're like, oh yeah, Monarch and Ultramel are the same thing, but then they'll go to Retics and be like, oh no, those two are the same. And I'm just like, what are you looking at?
Right.
Like, it's the same
It's
thing.
crazy.
Yeah.
It's absolutely crazy. But
yeah. So, I said earlier, I'm working with the Retic Go stuff. I had at one point the world's only pair of 50% Solaire dwarf het Retic Go stuff. They were both visual tigers. Unfortunately, I lost the male. He had cancer really bad. So he had, it was awful, man. I mean, it happened. I mean, it was one of those things that happened overnight. I mean, literally, he got sick and I had to put him down within literally, I think like 10 weeks, like within a couple of months. Yeah. I mean, it accelerated really, really quickly. I mean, he was fine and then just bam, gone. But obviously, again, I still have the female. She's doing great.
That's awesome.
And and again, with that Solaire influence, so I'm super excited about that. But yeah, just same thing. It's like, not a ton of people are working with it.
Right.
There's one other animal out there that has the 50% Solaire bloodline that is het Retic Ghost. There's one male. I don't know who has it. Garrett does, and basically he told me that the guy's a mainland guy and he doesn't want anything to do with loaning him out to you. He's like, the guy doesn't care about dwarf or super dwarf bloodlines. The guy just wants to make Retic Ghosts and he wants the Solaire influence. So he's like,
that's crazy.
Females.
That's crazy.
That's fine. Well, I mean, it's fine. I get it. Like, obviously, if it's a male, the guy, has every intention of running that bloodline to a bunch of females that he's probably got lined up. So I get it.
Right.
But yeah, it's the same thing. The Retic Ghost stuff is just kind of by the wayside for right now. Not a lot of people working with it. There's so many other options, I guess, and I think just obviously so many other things that sell well, and I think that's where a lot of people focus.
I mean, that's like I would love. I still am planning. Eventually, I will get some Retic Ghost. I love it. Mm-hmm. I think it's like you said. I like it because not a lot of people are doing it. Mm-hmm. It's not as mainstream as all the other stuff. But it's just you got to find those. Like I'm waiting for that right animal, the right project, and all that. But I love the Ghost. I love the Ghost stuff a ton. I'm good friends with. I don't know if you know Travis Warren. He's in St. Louis. Yeah. He's like the Ghost King. Like me and him talk almost daily. So I told him he needs to make me a Ghost GC is what I'm waiting to see. That's what I want. It's a Ghost GC. So
I think that'll be intense. For sure.
I do too. I love the Ghost Anthrax stuff that just got produced. My jaw was like I was drooling. I couldn't contain myself when I saw those get produced. That's an insane animal. So Ghost is another one that's pretty awesome.
It's got some legs. So
for sure.
I brought it up just because you said the same thing as how I approach everything that I try to approach, and again Miri does the same way. Like I want something unique. I'm like, what is no one championing? What is no one working with? And where is there some opportunity where people are working with this stuff, but they're just not like shouting it from the mountaintops? Like where can I come in and like really have an impact on a project and be excited about it where not enough people are excited about it? Because there's so many things like that, and I think that's what's interesting. And that's, I think that's why you and I got along. The second I met you, I was like, I like this guy.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. But it's just that's what the hobby should be all about, man. It's just like, let's not make a million of the same thing. Like, let's all just say, hey, I like that. That's super interesting. Oh, wait, that hasn't been made before? Like, I want to make those. Like, I don't know why more people don't think that way outside of, I guess, just the money and that, is a thing for a lot of people. And I think any of us would be lying if we said we don't care to make $1. We all want to make some money off of this, but I'm not trying to retire off of freaking snakes.
No, I'm not either. Not at all. Not at all. It's a hobby for me. If it can pay for itself and, take some money and go to a snake show in Texas or, take my family on a trip somewhere, I'm not trying to retire off snakes. I'm not trying to do snakes full time. I would never want to. It's just, I have no desire to do that. So
good deal. Stepping outside of the reptile stuff, man. So again, what does your day-to-day look like? Obviously you said just now you don't do this full time in terms of the snake. So if you want to talk a little bit about just what your day job is.
So I'm a recreation supervisor. I work at a rec center here. I've been there since I was in high school, 2003. I started as a senior. Been there ever since. I pretty much right now I run camp. In summertime, I run a summer day camp for kids, basically kindergarten through 6th grade. When it's not summer, I do special events. I do field trips. I do programming. I run our night operations. It's like a weight room facility, a gym. So they do like open gym basketball, volleyball. Yeah, I mean it's an easy, fun job. I mean I get to run around with kids. We're going to medieval times next week for a field trip. I mean we go to the zoo, get to play dodgeball.
Yeah, just rewarding.
I mean, yeah, it's awesome. I love it. I love working with the kids. It's awesome. It's so much fun. I love kids, so I'm a big kid at heart. It's a great time. And one of my good friends. I was
ask what got you into that at first.
You know, when the place where I work, I lived in that same town, and I used to, as a kid, I would go there after school, and I'd play basketball, dodgeball, pretty much up through high school. Me and my friends after school would go down there and play basketball, and then I always wanted to work there, so I kept applying. A job popped up, and I got the job, and I've been there ever since. And one of my best friends, me and her actually went to like preschool, elementary school together. She's my boss, so it's pretty cool. Me and her are super tight, and it's hard to leave. I mean, it's a government job, so pay's not the best, but I have good insurance. So
there you go.
Gotta have good insurance. So
that's paying in of itself. No, that's great, man. And it's funny to me how often I meet people that, like I was telling you, and Miri can account for this. As soon as I met you, I was like, I freaking like this guy. Just
appreciate it.
It's just funny how often I meet people that just seem super happy, super just positive energy, and just really that's the biggest reason I wanted to have you on here, man. Was just literally like I like the energy that you bring to the hobby. It's so important to me. To highlight people that are just that way. But it's funny to me how often I meet people that are like you, that are just happy and positive, and then I find out what they do for a living, and I'm like, that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
You obviously love what you do, and it gives a lot back to you. And so I love stories like that, man. I think it's super important for people to highlight stuff, and that's just great.
That's awesome. Well, I appreciate it. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
It's good stuff.
So you also have some hobbies outside of the reptile industry.
Yeah, I'm a bit of a car nut. I like the cars.
Yeah.
I was waiting for that.
Big into, back high school, we used to do street racing, and I still got the same car I had in high school, an old Camaro, 99 Camaro, so not that old.
Don't call it old. Come on, you're going to make us all feel old.
99 Camaro, yeah, it's my baby. I've had it since high school, and I still have it.
Yeah, and it is
5 years older than I am.
What'd you say, Mary? It's 5 years older than you are? That's funny. Yeah, it's
You calm down there. You just drink your wine, okay?
I've had it forever. I almost sold it a few times, and now that I have kids, I'm like, my son is he's going to be 4. He's an absolute car mania. I mean, he could tell you, we'll be driving, Daddy, there's a Tesla, there's a Porsche, there's a Lamborghini, there's a, awesome. He knows. So always wants to go in Daddy's race car, and let's do this. And, so it's, so now I can't get rid of it, which is good. So it gives me, an excuse to build it and screw with it and do all that. So yeah, I love it, but I missed all days of racing and going out till 4 a.m. But probably good I don't do that stuff anymore,
Yeah, you're alive. You don't have a criminal record as far as I'm aware.
No, not at all. No, not at all. Not at all.
Trust me. Like I said, that was another thing that, when we met and I was talking to you, I was like, wait a minute, you got a 1320 video hat on. I like you even more now. So.
Yeah, it's good times. I mean, I've met a lot of friends in the, like the reptile world. I've met a lot of guys that I'm still friends with. In the car world, even though I haven't done anything car related in years, and it's funny, a lot of the guys I still talk to, they've been through 3 or 4 or 5 cars, and they're like, I cannot believe you still have that same black Camaro you've had in high school. I'm like, I don't like to get rid of things at all.
At this point now, especially, it makes you realize. Yeah, it makes you realize that hindsight's 2020. It always. I'm sure, like you said, there's been a few times you wanted to sell it, but like now looking back on it, you would have kicked younger you's ass in that car 10 times over.
100%.
Now you can't go out and just buy a 1999 Camaro SS. You just can't. I mean, if you want to, you're going to pay a super premium for it.
As I say, prices are definitely going up. I look every once in a while just
all
to
the
see
F-body stuff. Yeah, all that F-body stuff has gone up through the roof, and again, on top of that, to have it be something that's your original car from high school, like, dude, people dream about that stuff.
Yep.
You see posts all the time of people trying to buy their old high school cars and things like that. So.
That's
I got a lot of respect for that. I think that's great.
My dad told me, my neighbor, when we bought this house, the neighbor's a big car nut. He had old Monte Carlo and a lifted truck, all the stuff. Yeah. We always would talk. And he's like, I sold my 69 Camaro that I had in high school, and don't sell it. That's the biggest regret you're going to have in life, and keep it and just store it. And so I'm like, now I'm at the point where I'm like, I would store it before I sell it. I'm not going to get rid of it now.
Yeah, Miri, you still have your old Jeep,
right?
That
was
like
my
one
Jeep.
of the first cars.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's what year Jeep?
Yeah, 2002. My dad was the first owner. 2002, it's a TJ. It's an inline 6, so I can't get rid of it. There's no way that I would even dream of getting rid of that thing.
Yeah,
ever.
That's super cool.
Yeah, and I built up my Harley and have that custom too, so I'll end up keeping that and then end up buying something newer later.
Yeah, that's cool. I'd love to get a bike. I had one. I bought a GSX-R 600 when I was in high school, which was too small for me anyways, but I bought it, and I almost killed myself on that, so I sold it.
Yep.
And like, I probably shouldn't do the bike. Probably shouldn't do the bike thing.
I miss having crotch rockets.
Yeah, they were fun.
Yeah.
They're a good
it's
time.
funny you say that, Jake, because I actually did almost die on the Gixxer 600.
I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe how fast they were when I got mine, and like third night out having it, I'm like, probably shouldn't be doing this. So put it up for sale. I sold it. I bought it, sold it a month later.
Yeah, smart man.
Responsible, trying to be responsible.
Yep.
No, I respect that. In all seriousnity, there's probably a lot of people that talk shit about you when it happened. Yeah. So I literally, I've got, let's think, I got 2 screws in my hip. I had a plate in my foot. I got, what else? I got a rod in my left leg. I should have been dead. 100%. Should have been dead. And I was on a Gixxer 600, and then healed up, went to college for about a year, and then ended up buying a Gixxer 1000. And that was, the Gixxer 600 was my third bike. My first bike was CBR 600 RR.
Right on.
With a built motor.
That's awesome.
Built motor, ported heads, Power Commander, sprocket, the whole nine.
Yeah.
So, Retic, but I be here.
I actually found out from a friend that the kid that bought my bike, I guess, ended up wrecking on it, and he passed away, unfortunately. Him and his girlfriend.
Yeah,
so I'm like, man, it's so pretty terrible stuff. So.
Yeah, I think I'm pretty well checked out on crotch rockets at this point in my life. I sold my Gixxer 1000 and moved on to an F09, which is more of an upright position. I mean, reality it's still a super fast, super dangerous bike. Yeah. Way faster than anybody really needs, but it's addicting, man. It's addicting. Yeah, much respect to you to being conscious and aware of stuff.
I'd love to get a Harley. I look at them here and there, and I'm like, man, I would love to get one. Just cruise around, nothing crazy, and who knows? Maybe down the road, maybe I'll end up with one eventually. But that's more my style, anyways. I can't really. 600 is too small, and I'm too afraid to get a 1000cc sport bike. And
I'll tell you, man, the most comfortable.
That's how I was.
It's gonna sound crazy. So when I had that Gixxer 1000, I traded bikes for a day with my buddy Adam. He had a Hayabusa. Right, and I'm like, this thing's gonna want to kill me. I'm gonna be terrified of this freaking bike. I was scared of Hayabusas. From the time I had motorcycles, I'm like, it's just too much. Nobody needs that.
Yeah.
I'll tell you though, the torque and the power band was a lot more predictable. And he said the same thing when he got off the Gixxer 1000. He goes, Zach, that bike wants to kill you.
It's just so peppy, just ready to go.
That bike is ready to murder you at the twist of the throttle at any moment. And his Hayabusa was so predictable, so comfortable. He had bar risers on it and drop pegs, so it was a little bit more upright, a little more comfortable, and it was just super torquey. Dude, that was a great bike. If I was going to get another super sport, I would absolutely get a Hayabusa and just build it out the same way. Just some bar risers, a little more comfortable foot pegs, and just be done with it. It was comfy. I couldn't believe how and great into the turns, like everything that people tell you Hayabusas are not. If you actually go and ride one, they're amazing.
Yeah, they're cool bikes. I actually looked at them when I bought my 600. I couldn't afford it at the time, and I was like, man,
exactly.
I sat. I'm like, man, this bike is so much more comfortable for me. I'm sitting on the 600. I'm like, this is I don't know why I bought it. Me and two of my buddies all went out. We bought them the same day and did that whole deal. And I'm like, man, I regretted it the second I drove that bike home. I'm like, why did I buy this thing? So
first time I twisted the throttle on my CBR 600, I was like, this is not a good idea.
Right.
So I kept it for over a year, nearly died who knows how many times, and just it's all crazy.
Yes. I'll stick to the cars. It's a little easier.
At least you got a cage around you,
Yep, for sure.
Yep. So
for sure.
You got at least you got a chance, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. I'm not too crazy in the car anyways now, because now after time I don't do the racing. I go to the car shows, usually got one of the kids with me so now it's totally different, which I'm fine with, a lot more calm and laid back and relaxed, and it's a little bit easier.
It's nice to just be able to enjoy it for what they are, at the end of the day.
I like building them, and I like getting on the highway and ripping them a few gears, but that's the extent of no more. I mean, I still want to build my Camaro. I still want to do like a 408 stroker motor with a turbo, and I've never owned a turbo car. I've always wanted to build one and do that whole deal. So
it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so I mean, I've ridden it enough. I've got a lot of buddies with them, but I've never built one or owned one. So that's the plan eventually. I need to sell some snakes so I can get the money to build one. So
there you go.
Yeah.
For sure. Do it, man. You won't regret it. So we'll circle back really quick, Miri, unless you have anything else to talk about with the car stuff or whatever. I want to circle back a little bit to the Retic world.
Yeah.
Give me a little bit of an idea of kind of you got your finger on the pulse a lot better than I do. Where do you think the Retic world is going, man? I mean, there's a lot of factors in that question, I know, and it's a complicated answer, I'm sure, which is why I wanted to ask it. I feel like you're the person that's been in it for a really long time, so I that was one thing I wanted to save and have you answer.
Yeah, I mean it's super complicated because like you said, there's so many different facets of that, I guess. I mean, my biggest thing, I think we just need to police ourselves a little bit more. I mean, there's so many guys, especially like the mainland guys. I don't work with anything dwarf. I like the dwarf stuff. I will maybe one day get back into the dwarf stuff, but I like the big snakes. That's the whole reason I got Retics, is because I like big snakes.
Sure.
But I mean, I think we need to watch what we're producing, how much we're producing. I mean, I have the potential here to make 10, 12 clutches a year. I don't.
Sure.
I simply don't. Sure. I don't want to. I think it's bad for the hobby. There's breeders I know that are producing clutch after clutch. They don't care. They're just mass producing 2,000-3,000, mainland Retics a year. Yeah. And it's just not. We don't need that at all. Hold on. I think my son's calling me.
Yeah, no,
Joe, what's up? I thought I heard somebody. I wasn't sure. What's up, Joey? Maybe I didn't.
Yeah, Jake, if you got to step away for a minute, man, it's all
good. No, it's good. I thought I was hearing something. I'm like, I don't know if it's him or not. I thought I heard him say my name, but maybe not.
I thought I was gonna say I thought I heard Daddy called out.
I thought I heard something, but I'm like, my wife saw him, so I don't know why he's crying for me.
All good.
But yeah, I think it's policing ourselves is the biggest thing. Watching what we produce, and we don't need to, just because a female is going to breed, we don't have to breed them. Sure. Like I said, there's a lot of breeders, big name breeders, small name breeders that are literally just pairing Retics to pair Retics, and I get it. Breeding Retics is awesome. Hatching Retics is awesome. Seeing those little dinosaur heads popping through the egg is cool, but still, you got to be somewhat responsible about them. A lot of people give me shit. I've sold Retics to people that, are newer in the hobby, but they've done research. I've talked to people that they like, I'm on Retic Nation or this page, and this is what super knowledgeable, which is awesome. Great. I love that. And I've sold them snakes, and I always tell them, if you have any, I answer my phone day and night, Monday through Sunday. I don't care. You got any issues, call me, text me, Facebook me, whatever. The snake ever gets to be too much for you, you can't handle it, I will take it back. I don't care if it's a $100 normal, if it's a $5,000 this, that, or whatever. I think no more guys need to be like that. There's a lot of guys that will sell you a snake and then that's it. You won't hear from them again. I still talk to a lot of my customers. I have people that reach out to me on Facebook or text me, hey, here's the girl I got from you 2 years ago. She's 15 feet and whatever, which I love seeing. I don't know. I just there's there's just so much to it. It's like you said, it's a hard question, but I think the biggest thing is policing ourselves and being responsible and not afraid to call out the bullshit, because there's a lot. I don't know if you guys are on Retic Nation. I think you might be, Zach.
Yeah,
I am. Yeah.
I am.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I wasn't sure. There's so many guys that are just spewing nonsense and BS, and I think us as, I guess, senior keepers kind of need to call that BS out, or the wrong info. And I try to sometimes, but I don't like to be the asshole.
It's tough.
That does it.
It's tough.
But
it's super
at the
tough.
same time, I find it hard to bite my tongue a lot of times.
Mm-hmm.
So it's a tough. It's like a double-edged sword, kind of, But yeah, just the production. It's scary. It's scary thinking the numbers that are getting produced of these things and where do they all go, and it's. I think
That's why I like people like you, Jake. I think you're like a really good person. I really appreciate people like you in the hobby a lot, because I find myself relating to that a lot. I can bite my tongue a lot more, and Zach can attest to that. I tend to just point out a couple things that I don't like, and he's like, well, why don't you say something? And I'm just like, there's no point. Well, there is a point, but it's just people like you who know that there shouldn't be overproduction. And I think that's a lot more important than the people who are going after all these really cool morphs. And it's really cool to see all this stuff, but it can only go to so many people. And that's just really cool that you focus on something like that and just realize that all these mainlands that get this big and cause US ARC all the issues that it does. So we can't we gotta take that full circle and just not let that happen. And I really appreciate you as a person for being like that, for sure.
Thank you. Well, I appreciate it. Yeah, I think I don't know if the law. We're always going to be fighting laws. That's never going to happen. Us big snake guys, we're the forefront. We're going to be, we're in the target all the time. It's never going to end. But I think kind of owning
same with
some
venomous too.
Right. I think some of these breeders need to look in the mirror. Take a good long look at themselves, and I don't know, just realize that maybe you don't need to make 35 retic clutches a year. There's no point. Take one super high-powered female, and I get it. Like you said, you want to make the coolest new morph and combo. Who doesn't want to do that? But there's more to it than just making the coolest combo. There's a lot of backlash from breeding so many snakes. It's just it's
the numbers.
I don't know.
Today.
Yeah, it is.
I get it.
It is 100%.
Well, and you basically presented the solution early on in this conversation, which is, I knew that this is where this conversation was going to end up, which is why I brought it up at the end. And I love that you brought it up very early on, which was that you said you're very targeted about your breedings. You have animals in your collection that are in huge enclosures that you are literally taking care of, feeding every week because you love them, because you want to keep them forever, but you also are not breeding those animals. Because you recognize that it's not necessary. I have this other female over here where if I actually want to breed to advance a project, that's the female to breed. That's the female to raise up. And I think that's again, you answer the question very early on. That's what I was trying to say. Is just that's what we need people to be doing. And it's not my place to say that. I don't breed retics.
Right.
But I think that anybody can look at the numbers of these things and say, like you said, yeah, I could have 12 clutches this year, which would be, if you get a 50 egg clutch out of each female, that's 600 babies.
Yeah, it's an insane amount.
That's a lot. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, there's my son. I was like, I thought I heard him.
Hey, what's up, brother?
Can you say hi? Hi. Hey, can you go upstairs? Can you go upstairs and play your iPad? I'll be up there in a minute. All right, thanks, buddy. I was like, I thought I heard somebody coming down the steps.
Yeah. No, dude, that's totally fine. I love to see it. That's the next generation right there.
Oh, sure. He loves the snakes, man. But I love to see the kids in the hobby, man. I really do. My first, I had a year where I did I think I had 5 or 6 clutches one year, which is that's probably the most I will ever do again. I probably never want. 5 is probably the most, depending on the female. Smaller females, most of my clutches average high 20s, mid 30s. Sure. 5 females is probably the most I ever want to do again, because it's just 6 was insane. And those were big. I think I had 350 babies at one time.
That's what I was going to say. That's a lot of babies. People don't understand. When you got a collection, even a big collection, if one clutch is 20 babies, that's a lot of fucking work all overnight. Just bam, your collection just.
Well, and the Retic babies, man, they flip their water bowl. They put all the paper towel in the water. It's every day you're down here. Like I cleaned these things yesterday. I got to clean them again tonight. It's yeah. So imagine doing that, 600 times every other day. It's just
no way. Yeah,
it's a lot. It's not possible. So these guys that have 2,000 babies, I have no idea how they do it or how you would even want to do it. So it's. Yeah. Forget that. That's the side of it
that's interesting. Is just I don't understand the motivation behind doing it, and I don't understand. Just like you said, the self-policing. I don't understand people that don't think that way. And like Miri said, again, that's what I appreciate you for. I think that you're a shining example. I would love to see you do some more stuff on video. I know you've got a YouTube channel.
I know, man.
I know you post, you do the Instagram. And again, this is not your full-time thing. So trust me, I get it, man. I dialed my like YouTube stuff way back when I started working full-time again, and it's a lot. And that's what people don't understand, especially having a family and all. It's a lot to freaking juggle. Yeah. I'm only saying it because of the fact that I respect the way that you do what you're doing. And I think going back to what you were saying in terms of like in the Facebook groups and stuff, there's really not a good way for you to try to tell people that what they're doing is wrong, right? Mm-hmm. Because people are always going to take it as a direct response to what they're doing, what they're saying. So they're always going to be offended. But I think that what you can do, especially someone like you, where you work exclusively with mainland retics, right? You can have an impact on your own by just simply putting out content, educating people to that effect. You can make blanket YouTube videos. It's easier to make blanket statements about what you feel the hobby should be doing, and to educate people that are coming into it, as well as to be a shining example for people that don't know anything about retics, to see somebody saying, hey, we shouldn't be breeding these things ad nauseum. We shouldn't be breeding these things for no reason, because that is a great example of what we need in the hobby and what people should be shouting more about. So I felt the need to bring it up and just encourage you to do your thing, man. Like,
I appreciate it, man.
You've got the stuff to do it. You know what I'm talking about. You're a very well-spoken guy, and your camera presence is really good. I've watched a little bit of your YouTube content. Like,
thanks, man. That's awesome.
I would greatly encourage you to pick that stuff back up, man. And just again, like, even if it's one video a month, just something, just because I know that you owe it to the hobby, fucker.
Right on. No, I know. I've tried making some, but I guess a lot of my old videos are like all this crazy YouTube stuff. Okay. Now everybody's, so it's like I see all these guys putting out these freaking awesome videos. I'm like, man, if I'm gonna do something, I don't like to half-ass it. I want to do like the intro and the cool, thumbnail and all this cool editing and music. And I try to mess around with it, and
You already got 3,000 followers on YouTube. First of all, okay. Second of all,
I'm proud by it. I'm proud of that too. That's a good 3,000. I know
you are. You should be.
I'm super proud by that.
That's phenomenal. Your content being perfect doesn't fucking matter. This live stream we're doing right now is not
right.
Perfect.
No, I know.
But the value that people are going to get from this, whether it's today or tomorrow or 10 years from now, is what matters. The impact that you can have with even just 3,000 followers is way more than what I could ever have on the Retic community. People, like, dude, the response that I got by just even posting we were going live with you in all the Retic groups that I'm in was tremendous.
That's awesome, man.
Hey, listen, lean into your own press for me. It should. That's wonderful. Lean into your own press, lean into your own shit, man, and just be champion what you're talking about, please. For all of us, I know that it'll make you feel good. It's not gonna affect your business in a negative way by any means.
Right.
Nothing else. It's gonna make people want to buy from you because you're a responsible breeder. And I think that's the other side of it, man. And correct me if I'm wrong, Miri, Jake, both you guys. Like, I feel like that you can advertise yourself as a responsible Retic breeder. And by doing so, people will be like, I would rather buy from a responsible Retic breeder. The same as people want to buy cage-free eggs at the fucking grocery store.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, the good people in the hobby are going to really lean more towards those people that are breeding responsibly rather than lean towards somebody that just breeds to breed.
Yeah.
And I think that's important. So just a thought.
I agree with you 100%.
Zach's really good at that, like talk about that stuff.
No, I mean,
trying to push people to do more than they're already doing.
I mean, I know, like, I get people all the time, local shows at NARBC. Man, you need to do more videos, and can I interview you and this and that? And I know I need to. It's. I always say I'm going to do it, and I just life. But I need to just make it a priority, like you said, one video a month or something like that. And
just anything.
I mean, I actually have a list on my phone of topics. I'm like, we need to go over this. So it's not that I haven't thought about it. It's just
I know, brother.
Yeah.
But
Miri's laughing because I've had this exact same conversation with her about like shit that I need to be doing on YouTube. Because if you look at my channel
all the
again,
time.
that's awesome.
It's unreal.
Yeah. So trust me, we're on the same page. And in all seriousness, after this live, man, if you want to hit me up, like it doesn't have to be tonight. It doesn't matter when. Like, dude, we can bounce shit off each other.
Yeah.
If there's some encouragement that I can give you, if there's ideas that I can give you, like we between the two of us, we will do nothing.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate that, man. Like you said, as soon as I met you, I was like, man, we're definitely going to get along a lot. I felt the exact same way. So it's I appreciate that. I definitely will take you up on that, and I will.
Please do. Please do. I love it.
100% will. So,
lady and gentlemen, I think we're pretty much out of time. We've hit the hour and 10-minute mark. We usually try to keep these things to about an hour.
That works.
Hey, in all seriousness, Jake, thank you so much for your time, man. And,
thank you.
And thanks for going deep with us on a lot of different things, from genetics to what the hobby needs to be doing to survive, and the car stuff and the motorcycle stuff. And
absolutely.
So what shows are you going to next?
Yes, please.
Well, I'm supposed to go to Arlington. I'm booked tables, but there may be a bit of a hiccup in that. I'm not 100% sure right now. Trying to figure that out. I will be at Tinley, 100%. And then local shows here, I hit up, but definitely Tinley. There's a chance I might not make Arlington now, but I don't know yet. Fingers crossed I can do it. So.
Oh yeah.
But I'm gonna, I'm probably gonna fly out. I'd like to go check out what is that, Pomona Super Show?
Yeah.
Is that January, February, something like that? I don't know if that's the date, but I want to go check it out.
I understand. Yeah.
That's what I've heard. I might. That actually might be like take the whole family out and go hit the show one day, and I just want to see it because I hear it's massive and huge, and I'd like to do that. I'd like to hit a few more of the shows. Like I'd love to do. What was the one you were talking about, or was that you, Zach, talking about a show you were going to go to? Was that
the show this weekend, Miri, is what? Amarillo?
Oh, at Amarillo for the herp show.
Yeah, the herp show.
Herps, I've heard good thing about herps. I'd like to check one of those out.
If you can make it to like Herps Conroe, I think it's the biggest herp show as far as I understand. Sean's going to be.
Yeah, this is going to be the very first herp show in Amarillo. They just bought out the Tri-State Expo that used to be there, and they kind of like died out a bit. And then once COVID started, they had a bunch of excuses, and then they ended up just canceling it. And all of a sudden, Sean owned it. So I was like, hell yeah, way better now at the time that I'm moving. So yeah, but it should be a pretty good weekend. Yeah,
I'd like to do. I would definitely like to at least go. If I can't vend, at least go to check them out. I like kind of like doing that. We used to go hit all the Retic guys. Used to go travel to all the breeders and check out their stuff. But I kind of want to check out a lot of the shows and see all the other people that I talk to all the time online, but don't ever get a chance to meet. So.
Yeah, man. Yeah, that's my favorite part about going to all the shows. That's people ask me like, why are you going to shows? You're not vending. Like, why are you spending all this money? I'm like, because I just want to be there.
That's the best. That's the best.
It's great.
I like going to go rather than vend, but I mean, it's going to just hang out is the best. That's how I am. So much fun.
Yeah, man.
So.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, again, thank you to everybody in all seriousness that has been here, has watched this episode, has listened to us gab about anything and everything. We really do appreciate it. Again, this was the fourth Zak and Miri Make a Podcast live stream. And these are just a ton of fun. And I know they're just going to only keep getting better. No offense, Jake.
It's all good.
No, in all seriousness, man, we really do. We appreciate you so much, man. And I literally, I'm not kidding. I told Miri like super early on, like literally having met you, I'm like, we got to get him on. Like, I want Jake. Like, he's just a good dude, good energy. And that's what we're trying to promote between the two of us, is just to really push positive energy, positive people, and responsible breeders out as much as humanly possible. And so thank you. And again, thank you to all the viewers and to anybody that watches us after the fact. We appreciate y'all almost even more. So thank you guys. And we will see you guys next week on Wednesday, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time is going to be the standard go-to. So we'll see y'all next week. Later, y'all.
Thanks, guys.
Thanks, Jake.
Nope, thank you. Appreciate it.